Right, so today in class we were continuing our talk about percents and looking at percents when dealing with money and original price and final price and tax or discounts. And today what we were doing is we were looking at how then you can actually, if you're given the original price and the final price, how then you can figure out what percent the discount was or what percent the tax was. So it's really the same process, but we just got to identify what each value is going to be and then really think about what those numbers mean. So for example, let's say we had an item and you knew that it was $30 was the original price. But then when you went out and you checked out, you looked at your receipt, and we're going to pretend there's no tax on this, but we're going to say you checked out and it actually ended up being, that's about, let's say $24. That's the final price. So clearly there was a discount. So the question is, what is the value of that discount going to be? So we're going to do the same method we've been using with all the other ones. We're going to look at our part, our whole, and our percent and kind of think about what those numbers represent. Now our original price, as it's been all last week, that's really your whole, that's your original quantity. You're really finding a percent of that number. Okay, we're finding percent of the original price. So that's going to be 30. Our part is what we paid at the end, whether we are paying less than the original or more than the original. That's a percentage of that whole, of that original price. So that's going to be 24. And the percent is unknown. Now at this point we could go through a couple methods. One, we could put it in proportions, that part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, so again, the P is just standing for part, the W is standing for whole. And so this is what we were looking at earlier last week and really working with percents. And then we could solve, this is unknown, so we're just actually going to say that that's going to be our X. And so then we would cross multiply as one way we could solve. That gives us 30x equals 24 times 100. And then I can solve that. 30x equals 24, put those two zeros there. Divide each side by 30. Oops. And we would see that those 30s cancel out. And 2,400 divided by 30. I can cross an x off on each one if I want, or 0 off on each one. And that would give me x is going to equal 80. And then we got to really, this is where we got to really think about what this number means. So if this is 80%, that means that I paid 80% of the original price. This final price right here, this part, is 80% of 30. So then if we're finding what the discount was, the discount, the part that I did not pay, since I paid 80, that means the discount was 20%. Okay, and I can think about that discount as 20% really because if I paid 80, right, let's say we start with 100%, that's the original amount, then we paid 80 of it, that leaves us with 20% that we did not have to pay, or a discount of 20%. And now you can do the same type of a problem if it's a tax problem. Let's say 30 was your original amount, and then let's say at the end when you checked out for $33 was your final price, and we want to figure out what percent was the tax. Okay, so I would take my part, my whole, my percent. Our whole is the original price, because we're finding a percent of that. Our part is 33. Even though our part is bigger than our whole, we can have more than 100%. If you're buying something with tax, you're paying more than 100% of the price. You're paying 100% plus a little bit more. And our percent is unknown. So we would do 33 over 30 equals x over 100. We could cross multiply that. It's going to give us 30x equals, it's going to do 33 times 100. Okay, and then I'll divide each side by 30 to solve this equation. I want these cancel out, right? And I'm going to get x is going to, what should I do? So you can do the long division if you want. Just remember, no problem with doing that. Bring down a 3 one more time. Minus 3 is 0, and then bring down 0, and don't forget our 0 right there. And we're going to wind up, we should wind up with something over 100% if our price went up. Right, so that means 110%. But I didn't pay a tax of 110%. I paid that original 100% like before, plus I had to spend something to get to 110. So we could always just subtract to figure out what that is going to be, or we could just think about it. But basically there was a 10% tax. right? And we could look even up here, 10% tax. Let's see if that makes sense. Yeah, if we started at 30, remember the tip we gave the other day, 10% of 30 is 3. Add that $3, that makes sense. 10% tax, 20% discount. Just set them up as your original price as your whole, your final price as your part, and then really think about what that percent means. I can't stress how important it is to think about what that percent means.